I could have potentially ended up spending thousands of dollars pouring into that house just because I was using my emotions, because I just wanted this house and I was so scared to lose it.
So Zondi, why'd you choose real estate as your career?
Well, there's so many reasons. One of the most important ones is when my husband and I were buying our house about 4 years ago, I was a first-time home buyer. He wasn't. This was like the 8th or 9th home he had ever bought, you know. And so for me, I was one of the real estate dream buyers. Like, I walked into that house, I wanted it, I didn't want to see another house. That was it. Okay. So the problem was I had no idea how this process is going to work. Okay, we're going to make an offer, have our bank send them the money, and then we can start moving in next weekend. That was my mentality. But that wasn't going to go down like that. You know, there's a whole process. And he wasn't telling me the whole process. Our realtor was really dealing with him. And I wasn't understanding why do we have to do inspection? Why do we have to negotiate? By the time we are done negotiating, somebody is going to come and buy the house and take it away from us. I had no clue what pending was, what being under contract was. And I thought, when you look at a house, you're happy with everything you see on a house. That's it. What do you need an inspection for? What are they inspecting? The kitchen units look good. The floors are amazing. What are we inspecting? So as the process went on, and then we closed on the house, and my husband tried to tell me, like, okay, this is what happens. This is a whole process. We have to go through this. And I was like, oh, okay. So if I had been buying this house just by myself without my husband, I would have told them, I don't want an inspection. I want the house. Let's just do it. I could have potentially ended up spending thousands of dollars pouring into that house just because I would have involuntarily waived inspection and everything just because I was using my emotions, because I just wanted this house and I was so scared to lose it. So then I started thinking, okay, how many people out there are from my background? They have absolutely no clue about the home buying process in the USA, not just in the USA, but from state to state. That's when I started thinking, you know, there could be a lot of people like that. And I love training. I love educating people. And so when my whole department was phased out from my corporate job, I decided I wanted a job where I could actually not only set my own schedule, create my own income, you know, train people and let them know that you can have a home. There's just a way you have to go about it. There's the right way and the wrong way. So I feel very fortunate that we had a good realtor and my husband was there and he was well informed about the home buying process.
So why then ReeceNichols? Why did you choose us?
Because I had talked to a couple of brokerages in Kansas City, and then my ex-boss told me that if you really want to be a real estate agent, I could refer you to our real estate agent at ReeceNichols. She was great with us, absolutely amazing. I can set up the appointment. She's still our family friend now. Go talk to her and interview her. She set the whole afternoon aside for me. And I was amazed at the ton of information she gave me. And she said, feel free to talk to other brokerages, but this is what ReeceNichols has to offer. What really got to me was the training. I mean, a lot of training. That you sign up with ReeceNichols, you get a lot of training that other brokerages, you pretty much are going to pay for that kind of training. And me coming from training and quality background, I wanted to be so well trained because that gives me confidence when I'm talking to my clients.
Well, you should be. It's the most important purchase in the person's life.
Yes.
Why shouldn't we be trained?
I don't want to go to do a buyer presentation or a listing presentation and I'm stammering my way through it. I wanted to be professional and answer questions and just be professional and knew what I was talking about. And then when I became a real estate agent, I realized how busy realtors are. And I keep thinking back to the day she set aside the whole afternoon just to talk to me and answer all my questions.
That's awesome.
I just jumped right in. That's how excited I was.
Well, and it was evident because you were ReeceNichols Rookie of the Year last year.
And I don't know how I did it.
Because you're passionate about what you do.
Yeah, that was another thing. If I'm going to create my schedule and work for myself, I have to pick something that I really, really like to be successful. Because this is not like just clocking in somebody's clock and then getting the benefits and the pay, because you have to pay the bills. If you are going to be successfully self-employed, you have to pick a career that you really like and are passionate about.
Right. So
And
this is it. You're never going to do anything else.
this is it for me. This is it for me. And I just love it. I absolutely love it. I have developed great relationships, both in my clients and just other co-op agents and brokers and other real estate agents at ReeceNichols. I just absolutely love it.
All right. So you're on our African American Diversity Council, and thank you for volunteering to do that. Why, from a diversity standpoint, is homeownership so important?
I think that home ownership is so important right now because, especially in this market where, supply and demand, there are just very little homes to buy on the market. And so rent has really gone up. So I have home buyers that bought homes and they're paying less in rent, in mortgage payments, as opposed to what they're paying in rent, because they've got a good home and now their rent has gone up. The rates are really low right now, and also the stability, the security. They keep telling us that, kids from a stable home do better in school and in life. So that security of having home and pouring money into your own investment and ultimately starting that generational wealth. You don't really see much of that in the low-income housing and in the inner city, developing that generation wealth for the kids, the grandkids and great-great-grandkids. I think that's the cycle us as a real estate company need to break and help. A lot of time it's just lack of education and where to find the resources, but going out there and making our presence known, and just if people knew where to reach out to if they had questions, and telling them all sorts of programs that are available to get them to start that home ownership and creating their own generational wealth. That would be a big impact. Another scenario is you get a lot of foreigners coming to the US. Okay, do they have bad credit? No, they have no credit. It's not that they have bad credit, they just don't have any credit. And there are programs for them to start doing to where they can start getting into the home ownership program in a few months and a few years. So that being said, and ReeceNichols being like the local big real estate company, born and bred locally right here in Kansas City, not only is it local, it's also global. What is the current relationship between ReeceNichols and these inner city home buyers or sellers or low-income housing? What's that relationship like? Because I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, well, we haven't done a good job. Let's be honest. I mean, we haven't. That hasn't been a focus of the company until November, and so we put together the Diversity Council specifically for the Hispanic community first, and that's been going now for 2 years, and we're building inroads into the Hispanic community. And as you know, we started with the African American community in November. We kind of got derailed by COVID,
Right.
but I think we're on a good path. We've got to, and I think you said it beautifully, we've got to train people why home ownership is important and what it can do for their families and what it can do for them and how they can build wealth through that. And we just haven't focused on that in the past. And you're in a business where we focus on making sure everybody's taken care of. Well, we've really failed by taking care of everybody in the community. We've only taken care of a certain sector. And so about 2 years ago, we said we were going to make a concerted effort to do it. And we started, and again, we've made some considerable inroads into the Hispanic community just by training them and coaching and doing seminars on home buying and home selling and what that entails. As you were great saying earlier, most people don't know the process. So we've got to teach them the process so they're not afraid and they don't get taken advantage of by anybody else. So it is something that is a top priority of ours. It will continue to be a top priority. And I think the main thing we're going to do, and my commitment to the company and to the community, is that this is not a 1 year or 2 year, this is a long process. Because in order to make inroads within the community, it's going to take time and we're going to have to be patient. But we will do it and we will be successful.
That's good. That's good to know. That's the area that I'm really interested in. So, like, in the next 4, 5, 6 years, where do you see ReeceNichols? Where do you see the progress going there?
Well, I think with our conversations with the council, I think we have a great path, and that is through the church leaders and the inner city churches. Those churches have the trust of their constituents, and we've got to build that trust. So we were well on our path to having meetings with those church leaders until COVID hit.
Right.
And so now we have to wait till those communities start meeting again in person, so that we're all safe and can stay healthy. But once we do, then we can start those home buying and selling seminars within those churches and build that trust so that everybody realizes that ReeceNichols is born and bred in Kansas City. I love that. And now we're expanding within the region, but we're also committed to say, if you're with the ReeceNichols agents, we will make sure you're taken care of and we'll make sure you buy the right house for you.
Right.
And that's, again, you're right, 4 or 5 years, it may take that long, but we're going to do it and we're committed to do it. And I'm so proud of you and the other people on the council for committing their time and energy. You guys are doing it, volunteering it, and your time and your knowledge, and I really think we're on the right path.
I think so too, because one of the things I like about the whole initiative is not just teaching people how to bring them on board to get their first home and, potentially upgrade to their second home until they get to a place where they're getting their dream home. But one of my passions is just the education around there and telling, minorities and low-income housing in these neighborhoods how to become a real estate agent and potentially make your own money like that, because you're already in the neighborhood. You already had that trust from the people in the neighborhood. So, just partnering to where we educate them, they get their real estate license, and they venture out there and, start developing themselves is, I think, one of the biggest thing we can do too.
Love it. Our client base has to expand and be more diverse, but also our agent base has to expand and be more diverse. We don't have enough diversity in our agent base. We're fairly good in our employee base, but that needs to improve as well. So it's a concerted effort across all those things: clients, agents, employees. We have to be the face of the community, and to be the face of the community, we have to represent, everybody within the community. So we'll move that way as quickly and as diligently as possible, but we're not going to give up.
Right.
That's the big thing.
It would be nice to really see ReeceNichols' presence, heavy presence, in the inner city and low-income housing neighborhoods, all sorts of neighborhoods. It would really be great to see that, and I would love to be part of that history and change.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet. So you're a very successful real estate agent in a short period of time. What is one thing that no one knows about you?
Oh, the one thing that nobody knows about me. Maybe there's a reason they shouldn't know about that one thing. Okay, so the one thing that nobody knows about me is I have met 2 very high-profile individuals in my life. One of them is, before we moved to South Africa in '87, when I was still a little kid, Zambia being a British colony, the Queen of England came to Zambia. And so my dad at that time was director of wildlife and national parks in the whole country. Me being a little girl and daddy's favorite girl went along when the Queen came to tour the safaris. And so that's when I met the Queen.
Very neat.
The second time I met somebody really high profile is in South Africa, I was working as personal assistant to the Secretary of Education, Dr. Karodia, at the time in the Northwest Province. Nelson Mandela had already come out of jail. So they built this school and named it after Mandela. So Mandela came there to open the school, the official opening of the school. And so my boss being, Secretary of Education, we went there, we showed up, me with my laptop, and I was part of the VIP entourage, and there was a podium, and school kids were singing and everything. So we sat on the podium. I was literally like 6 feet away behind Mr. Nelson Mandela. And I kept looking at his shoes, his socks, his clothes, his hearing aids. I was like, oh my gosh, he's real. He's actually real. I remember in school a long time ago learning about Nelson Mandela that's been spending so much time in prison because he's fighting for freedom. And he was just like a mythical character at the time. And here I am in my adulthood, I'm sitting right behind him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's real. So after everybody was done with the speeches and the ceremony, my boss grabbed my hand and said, you're going to meet him. Introduced me to him, and he gave me a big hug. He said, so nice to meet you, young lady. The problem is he had very, very big guy, Secret Service guy. He was like, no, I can't touch him. Well, he's the one that hugged me first. So that was very memorable for me.
That's very neat. That's very neat.
What about you?
Well, probably something that everybody doesn't know. Like if you saw me on the weekend, I'd be in sweatpants and a ball cap. So I probably have 100 ball caps in my closet, and so I'm fairly lucky that I keep a low profile on the weekend. So if I'm at Home Depot or in the yard, not many people probably would recognize me because I don't dress very nice on the weekend.
We all need some chill time. So I'll be honest with you. The first time I created a packet for my home buyers, your face was right there, or CRM, home buyer value, and your face was right there. I was like, okay, so that's the big wig of ReeceNichols, okay. And then several weeks later, you came to our office for some presentation on Tuesday morning. I was like, where have I seen that face from? I'm like, oh, it's the face on all the ReeceNichols brochures and everything. So it was really nice to meet you.
Well, thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it. You're a great representation of what ReeceNichols is and what it needs to be in the future. So congratulations on all your success, and I wish you nothing but the best in the future.
Well, thank you so much, and I won't disappoint you.
All right.